Now we're going to solve two-step equations. And with two-step equations, you will only have two steps. So even though I have three things recorded, you'll only end up doing two of those when you're solving a two-step equation. So step one is simplify by removing any grouping symbols. Step two is sort and combine like terms, which means, and when we do that, we're going to use our line here to go ahead and think of that as our separation line. When we switch over our equal sign, when we switch the side of a term, we're also going to switch the sign, not the operation, but the sign of that number. Then we're going to multiply or divide to find the value of the variables. And again, we'll only use at any given time two of these steps. You won't use all three because it's a two-step equation. So let's go ahead and get started on that now. So on the first one, we've got 9x minus 7 equals -7. Well, I don't have any grouping symbols. So that means that what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to draw a line here so that I can sort and combine my terms. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a text box thing here because that way you can see my writing. But I'm going to keep 9x on this side. Okay. My next term is -7. Well, instead of -7, I'm going to make that a +7. Okay. And then I'm going to keep this term on this side. I've got +7. So or -7. So I'm going to put -7 here. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to combine my terms. So I sorted and combined my terms. I still have 9x on this side, but I'm going to have 9x is equal to 0 because when I do -7, I'm get +7, I'm going to end up with 0. So that's this one, sort and combine your terms. Okay. And then my last step, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to divide. So multiply or divide to find the value. So 0 divided by 9, I'm going to end up with x equals 0 divided by 9. I'm going to end up with 0 divided by 9 is 0, so we know x equals 0. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. The next one, I'm going to go ahead and sort and combine my terms. So I'm going to move my 2 over to the other side. So I end up with 6 minus 2, because remember we switch the sign, is going to be equal to a divided by 4. Okay, 6 minus 2 is going to be 4. So 4 is equal to a divided by 4. And now I just go through. It says multiply or divide. Well, in this case, my opposite operation divided by 4 is going to be multiplied by 4. So I'm going to end with 4 times 4 is equal to a. And I know that 4 times 4 is 16. So I'm going to end up with 16 is equal to a. But even though that looks like more than steps, it's just because I wrote it out long ways to show you what I did in order to get the number. I'm going to keep doing that because I want you to see it is only two steps. My first step was subtract. My second step was multiply. In this one, my first step was go through and add because I did that +7. My second step was to go through and divide. Now in this step, I do have a grouping term. So what I'm going to have to do to get rid of my grouping symbol, I'm going to go ahead and multiply. So I'm going to end up with 144. And you only change the signs if you are adding or subtracting. So I'm going to end up with -140 or 144 divided by -12 is equal to x plus 5. 144 divided by -12 is going to be -12. So -12 is equal to x plus 5. Okay, so that was my first step. Again, my first step was just divide. I just wrote it out. That's why it looks like it's more steps, but it's really only one step because we're doing 144 divided by -12. I am going to want you to write these steps out, especially at the beginning, because I need to see that I know what you did. If I can't see what you multiplied or divided, or if you added or subtracted, or what you did first, I can't help you if it's done wrong. So you have to make sure that you're showing your work. So then I'm going to end up with -12. My next step is going to be, since I simplified by doing the grouping symbols, I do have to sort and combine to find the value of the variables. So I've got x minus 5. So I'm going to end up with 12. My opposite operation of +5 is going to be -5, is going to be equal to x. And then I end up -12 minus 5 is going to be -17 is going to be equal to x. Now, our last problem looks a little weird because we've got that 3 there. That 3 is actually going to be is part of our grouping symbol because v plus 9 is actually grouped. So we have to distribute that divided by 3, only instead we're going to go through and we're going to do the opposite operation. So we're going to keep our v minus 9 or v plus 9, and we're going to end up taking that 3 over to the other side. So we've got 8 times 3 because that's our grouping term. So then we end up with x plus 9 is equal 8 times 3 is 24. So now to go ahead and do that, I'm going to go ahead and sort and combine. So my plus 9 goes over to the other side and becomes minus 9. So I end up with 24 minus 9. So x equals 24 minus 9. And 24 minus 9 is 15. So I end up with x equals 15. If this is a Monday, go ahead and just go on to the other activities. You can skip through to what the instructions are for um, the math groups. If it is Tuesday, you are going to need to complete the 4 other problems that I have on the following slides to get a little bit more practice.